In the beginning we see a girl called Mirai sitting on the floor at her apartment. She answers a phone call and the person on the other side introduces herself as someone from the Nasi family. To be sure, Mirai asks if it is the notorious Nasi family, and the voice says yes. The girl then immediately rushes out and boards the train. She reaches a big house and goes inside. A young woman introduces herself as Izumi Nasi and leads her to her chief. He is a mysterious man located in a cave, and he speaks about the girl and how she is special. He tells us that Mirai is the last member of the cursed blood family, and that she is a spirit world warrior. She can manipulate her blood and use it as a weapon once it hardens. She can turn it into a lethal sword that can even throw her toxic blood onto enemies. They called for her since she is the only one who can fight a terrifying enemy they must eliminate. The Nasi family protects humanity from evil entities called Yomu, and they have found one who they could not kill. They say her target is a schoolboy called Akihito, who is actually a hybrid. He is half human, half Yomu, and this one is different because he is immortal. Izumi tells Mirai he is not actually fully immortal, but he can only regenerate at an extreme rate. Mirai later stands on the top of a building, and it all seems like she is going to kill herself. Her target Akihito then walks by and sees her on the ledge. He runs upstairs and talks to the girl. He wants to stop her from doing anything stupid, but everything changes in a matter of seconds. Mirai jumps and rushes towards Akihito, and she stabs him with her bloody sword. Since he is immortal, the boy does not die. He only feels tremendous pain, but smiles at Mirai anyway. The two of them instantly form a bond, and start to like each other. For the next couple of days we see how she constantly tries to kill him, but he only runs away and does not try to stop her at all. One day after she tried to end his immortal life once again, they are seen sitting in a restaurant. They talk about each other and Akihito notices Mirai is eating like crazy. She explains that every time she forms her blood sword she becomes anemic, so she must regenerate her blood cells she has lost while trying to kill Akihito. Later as they leave the restaurant, Akihito finds her on the floor. There is a Yomu stone next to her, meaning she just killed one Yomu. Since she is a spirit world warrior, she kills Yomu and takes their stones which she can cash in. She says she feels dizzy because she used too much blood, so Akihito helps her. Akihito later asks Mirai if she wants to join his literature club. He says there are also 2 spirit world warriors there, so she would fit in. She says how she does not want to spend too much time with Akihito because she does not want to kill him, but she must since it is her obligation, and she cannot quit being the warrior she is. Then we see a mysterious man who presents himself as a member of the spirit world warriors. He talks to Izumi about the most powerful Yomu called Beyond the Boundary. He reveals to us that Yomu are physical manifestations of negative human emotions. Anger, hate and jealousy create those beings that roam our world. He asks Izumi how she feels about Yomu, and she replies that they are simply monsters to her. The man then forms a plan with Izumi. They want to defeat Beyond the Boundary, and they plan to use Mirai for it. Back at Mirai, we once again see how she fights Akihito, but then the hollow shadow appears behind him and goes inside the boy. He undergoes a nasty transformation and Mirai wants to put a stop to it. She stabs Akihito with her sword, but he once again stays alive since he is immortal. The hollow shadow leaves Akihito's body, and Yomu's stone jumps out as well. The girl then encounters the hollow shadow, and kills it with a single move. She looks back at Akihito, but other spirit world warriors appear and tell her she should keep her distance. One of them is Hiromi, who is a member of Nasi family. They tell her that when a half-breed is weak, he transforms into his worst form. They create an energy cage that keeps the boy inside, and he then transforms into a Yomu. He tries to break out of the cage, and he seems to be doing it quite well. When he is in Yomu form he is very powerful, and he shows that by throwing explosive attacks all over the place, which eventually blow up the whole area. Mirai gets up from the ground after the explosion, and knocks Akihito to the ground, telling him to calm down. We watch as he goes back to human form again, and things settle down. After the fight, Mirai once again goes with Akihito to grab something to eat. It is funny how they fight and then hang out, but it is the way it is. One day, as the youngest member of Nasi family called Mitsuki was walking outside, that mysterious man appears and offers her a ride. He has a talk with her and reveals to her his plans for Beyond the Boundary. At the same time, Izumi is seen on a train with Akihito. She looks at him from a distance and then approaches him. She tells him that he should rest, and she casts some spell that puts him to sleep. He is then seen surrounded by Mirai and her friends. He is sick and weak, and nobody knows how to help him since he is half-breed. Mirai tries her best, but simply cannot hide her sadness about the situation. She goes home but notices Akihito and Izumi fighting on the roof. He disappears and the literature group searches for him. In his room they find no traces of him. They only notice how he was secretly making notes about Mirai, which shocks her pretty badly. Mirai is later seen at a restaurant with Izumi. They talk about Akihito, and Izumi tells her to finish the job. She reveals to her that there is a way to save Akihito. It seems like he carries Beyond the Boundary inside him, and if she kicks it out of him, he might survive, but then she would get swallowed by that negative energy. Mirai instantly decides she will sacrifice herself to save Akihito from death, even if that means she will have to absorb Beyond the Boundary herself. Izumi reveals to her that Akihito is currently weak, and that now is the time for attack. She gives her a card that will lead her straight to him. Mirai uses the magic card to locate Akihito, and discovers him in the woods. They then have an intense fight. They both attack and want to hurt each other. Mirai manages to stab him many times, and the boy fights back with his fireball attacks. She eventually manages to strike him the final blow, and the scene ends. After that, Akihito is at the hospital, and there is Mirai next to him. When he is recovered, the two of them keep hanging out together. They eat together and have some fun with their friends. One day in the literature room, Akihito notices something strange outside. Mirai explains to him that she actually had to release Beyond the Boundary in order to save him, but it did not just go away. It swallowed her and she disappeared from this world, together with Beyond the Boundary. She tells him he is still at the hospital recovering, and that her manifestation is just a memory of her. He will soon awake, and she will be gone forever. Then we see real Mirai in a parallel world. She is in an unknown place together with Beyond the Boundary. There is also Akihito, but it is not truly him. It is just a lifeless imitation of him, nothing else. When he eventually wakes up at the hospital, Akihito is devastated. Mirai sacrificed herself so that he could be alive and normal again. Since she took Beyond the Boundary from him, he became mortal again, so now he is just an ordinary boy. He constantly hears some weird noises from the sky, as if there is something up there calling for him. One day, as he was going through his phone, he notices a message from Mirai. The message says it was all her choice and that she is happy she did it the way she did. She claims to be very happy, even though she is stuck in a dark world full of Yomu. That evening something strange happens outside. Yomu are appearing everywhere, and they seem to be taken to another world, the one where Beyond the Boundary is. Akihito and his friends stand outside and watch Yomu how they appear, and then fly up into the air. They move from the streets, and then encounter a weird Yomu. It looks like a mechanical monster of some kind, but it is actually just Akihito's mother who is just playing with them. She has a talk with the group and shows them a Yomu stone. It is a special one which is a part of Beyond the Boundary, and Akihito grabs it to absorb it. It gives him the power to go up to the place where Mirai is, and he instantly leaves to save her. He jumps towards the gigantic sphere that hovers above the earth, and travels to another world. As he travels, he takes the body of that lifeless Akihito, and approaches Mirai as the real Akihito. She is shocked to see him, especially because now he is gone, so her sacrifice was for nothing. He says he refuses to live without her, so he wants to be with her alone even in this dark world if necessary. Beyond the Boundary then becomes alive and they want to investigate it. As they run towards it, the big sphere starts to attack them. Since Beyond the Boundary is basically just a big Yomu, They think it might actually be destroyed. The sphere almost kills Mirai, but Akihito jumps in to rescue her with his Yomu powers. They must get close to it, so they take a scooter and use it to get as close to the sphere as possible. Mirai takes her sword and penetrates the sphere. It breaks, and Mirai and Akihito black out. When they awake, they see many people around them who tell them to let them live. Akihito says it must be a trick, so he tells Mirai to close her eyes and to clean her heart. They open their eyes and see thousands of Yomu around them. Akihito claims there is no other way but to fight them all at once. They start attacking the monsters and kill them one by one. Soon the whole area is clean, and all negativity goes away. All but one. A huge arm appears and it attacks Akihito. It is actually a big manifestation of his anger and other bad emotions, so he fights it. The huge arm turns into him, and he finishes it to erase his negativity once and for all. The girl is looking at him and wants to approach him, but when she moves her leg breaks. She calls Akihito and he goes to her. She asks him to pet her head and to thank her for everything. He looks confused but does it anyway, and she then gradually starts to disappear. The only thing that is left behind is her ring, so Akihito grabs it as he falls back to earth. Akihito then speaks and says how everything went back to normal again. He says there is much less negativity now, but it cannot go away completely. One day, as he was walking out of his school, the ring he took from Mirai suddenly disappeared from his hand. He thinks it is a signal, so he goes to the roof. He locates Mirai at the same spot where he first met her. He says he does not know how, but destiny brought them back together. Hey, thank you for staying all the way till the end. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like. It takes only a second, but it means everything to us. Have a great day and see you in the next video.